Asylum Wrestling Podcast.
And that's the bottom line.
Alrighty, listeners, we are finally back here on the Asylum Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host with the most, the Golden Standard, David Gold. We're here with our producer, Nate Maxson. And we also have the typical guys. We have Magic with us tonight. How are you, sir?
Good morning, good evening, good night. Whenever you are listening to us, guys, I am feeling great. I am feeling awesome. Coming off some strong WrestleMania, in my opinion. On top of that, we completely squashed David Gold. We will go into that later. As y'all know, anytime I beat Mr. Gold, I am loving it. Right now, I feel like I'm Undertaker dropping the dirt upon him in the grave. But guys, y'all are in for a good show. We got a little bit of info for you. We got a lot of bit of fun. So stay tuned because it's coming.
And we have the belt man himself, Nick Francis. How are you, sir?
What is up? I'm doing good. What's up, guys? David, John, and Nate. So glad to be with you tonight. And I want to welcome all the listeners wherever you're listening from. We got a jam-packed show. I'm excited. Again, I'm just like Magic. I'm pumped up because David Gold indeed lost. Believe it or not, David Gold lost. But we'll rub that in his face here in a little while. But I'm pumped up, guys. We got a lot going on the Facebook group. I'm browsing through. We got a shirt contest going on. So much stuff that I'm looking at right now. Amazing shirts on the contest we got. We had a lot of winners this past week on the Facebook group. So just a lot of action. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of news Magic has for us, and I'm excited for it.
I just want to start off by saying I don't feel that I should have lost here. My picks were awesome. It's not my fault that Vince McMahon does not know how to book a proper WrestleMania. It's also not my fault that the point system was rigged by both Magic and Nick to help them. And I want to definitely point out the fact that, yes, I did gloat because I was doing really fucking good because the first three matches I was told, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, and I got them right. And then WWE went and fucked me and gave Charlotte the belt because, God knows, I had no idea that her visa was expiring. So that's not fair. That shouldn't count. And then they're taking people out of matches. So we went from a tag match to a triple threat tag team match. Like, really? I mean, after you did all that with the rat video, The Miz wasn't even going to wrestle anyways because he was being saved, which, look, that's fine. But, yeah.
Guys, I'm going to pull the curtains back a little to tell y'all what happened night of WrestleMania. So I won't lie, I had to start a little late. So I was a little behind. All of a sudden, I get this big bad message from David Gold. Like, oh, what's up now? Who's the man? Who knows his stuff? I am destroying you, brother. I'm so smart. You look like an idiot.
Right.
Now, anyway, that was like
the
first
what
couple
we have
matches.
what we have to realize, Magic and listeners, is we're dealing with somebody that, you know, is not used to losing. I mean, we all know the Gold always wins. So, you know, I was kind of excited to see how he was going to actually take a loss for a change.
Well, it was funny because he sent me this message and he was like, ha, 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 I'm so awesome. You suck. Well, then something happened. Every other match in the show continued on. And all of a sudden, I wasn't getting messages from Gold anymore.
But look, hold on a second. Number one, I was driving. No, I really wasn't driving. But number one, look, we all know here on the Asylum Wrestling Podcast that when we go through a show, we did the points, and we would say blah, 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 blah. That did not take place, but that's okay. I will take my loss, and I will hold my hand high because you know what? sometimes you have to go to the bottom to get to the top. And I will say this, gold does not always win. If you're on the page and if you pay attention to the page, you'll understand that there's another gentleman on this podcast who is sitting on a pot of honey right now, who, once again, won another Melloway Hogan. I just want to point that out. Again. And that's the person that always wins. So, and of course, too.
I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know if you do, John, or not.
Well, what I can tell you is I have a feeling, guys, I believe the universe is very yin-yang, right? There's got to be a push to be a pull. Everything has to equal out. So I found out what it is. David Gold wins every freaking event he enters, so there's no way he can win anything else. That's just that's got to be all that's left to it.
Dude, I'd have a hell of a collection. Okay, actually, I was just about to say I'd have a hell of a collection, but I do have a hell of a collection.
So he admits it. He does win every.
If my collection involved winning events, I'd have much more of a hell of.
David Gold. So, guys, to all of our listeners, to all of our members, y'all knew this was right. There is no necessarily winner. There is only a. And he is wearing that dunce hat very happily right now. David Gold is our loser. But guys, here's what happened. So we were tossing back all these different ideas. What will the loser do? What will we make him do? Is he going to do this? Is he going to have to, do an event without his shirt on? Is he going to have to cut a promo on how good the other guys are? But we decided we are a podcast of the people, and we are here for y'all. So guys, we are going to make a post on the Asylum Facebook page, and we want to hear from y'all. We want all of our listeners and all of our members to tell us, being that he lost the official pick'em contest, what should David Gold have to do? Now keep in mind, guys, if you say something way off the way, we're not going to make him do it. If it's, he needs to send $100 to every member, obviously he's not going to do that. Or you say, he needs to, dance naked in whatever. Normally he does do that, but the bars are closed, so now he's not going to do that. But guys, we want to hear whatever y'all think. What do y'all think is the appropriate punishment for King Supreme loser David Gold?
Well, that ought to be pretty interesting.
I'm going to say this. No suggestions of driving the Nate's Big Lots either. I'm not doing that either. So, because his customers don't understand that you don't need to be buying furniture right now.
They sure don't.
Show enough. Yes, I will accept my loss this time, but I'm going to tell you right now, if we do another pick'em or another thing like this, David Gold will be keeping better track of things. That's for sure.
Sure.
Mark my words. Just have orgasm
Whatever.
with that one. Nick's real excited I lost. He's like,
Well, again, guys, you got to realize, we don't say gold always wins for no reason. So when you do lose, it's kind of a not only a shock. It's a shock to everybody. So we got to take advantage of this magic.
Well, I'm all about taking advantage of it, but I'll tell you what, for Gold's sake, for now, and it's a big for now, we're going to put it on the back burner because I want to see what our listeners and our members think that loser David Gold should do. David Gold, are you ready to face the consequences of your horrible picks?
I will take whatever comes with it, but I will not do it without a fight and not have it. I'm going to be like Bobby Heenan riding that camel backwards on WrestleMania 9. I'm going to be like Bobby Heenan when they throw him out of Monday Night Raw. That's what I'm going to be like.
I love it. All right, guys. So this week, news-wise, has been a little rough. Today, we had a big loss in the wrestling community.
Yes, we did.
One of my childhood heroes, and I say this because to me, there was just so many amazing matches that were announced by him. And I still today think he's the best ever voice in professional wrestling as far as ring announcers go. And of course, we're talking about WWE Hall of Famer Howard Finkel. He passed away today at the age of 69. To me personally, I think 69 is too young. Guys, do y'all have any nice Howard Finkel memories or takes on him?
I think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this one. I think, and Nate would probably be as historian on this as I am. I think Howard Finkel's last WrestleMania was WrestleMania 22, right? Right, Nate? Am I right on that?
22. Because his last, 22 is his last Mania. And then his last major appearance was Survivor Series 11 when he introduced CM Punk.
Yep, and then I know, and I think he did the Edge and McFoley announcement for that 22 match, and I know he did 20. I know he did all of 20, and then they started doing that new, we're going to bring some new people and stuff, and so they kind of put him backstage as like I think he was a producer / travel agent, whatever the case may be. A story that I have, and I would like to play a little audio one after Nick kind of tells his, was actually one that I actually kind of knew already, which Nate kind of showed us earlier, was that Fink was, and Nate, you can correct me again if I'm wrong on this, but basically I think from what I heard, and was a couple years ago, Vicky said that the Fink actually traveled with Eddie when he passed away. When they were kind of transporting his body, he actually went with him, and I think that's just an amazing thing to do for anybody.
Yeah, he said he didn't want him to go home alone. He was also the only person from the WWE that called Lanny Poffo when Randy Savage passed away.
That's pretty monumental. I mean, the guy has been around, and he was only, believe it or not, I thought the Fink was older than that because kind of like me, he started balding when he was 20, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like Hogan, who was bald when he was born, you know? So
right.
We've all been bald forever. So the Fink always kind of looked a little, not old, but older than you thought he was.
Right.
And to be honest, in his latter years, he actually grew a full beard and looked younger. It was weird, but until he started getting sick.
I like when he introduced himself into the Hall of Fame. Do you guys remember that in his Hall of Fame speech?
I'm going to have to look that back up. I mean, I'm sure I saw it, but I'm not remembering it right now. I'm going to have to watch that again.
It was just classic Finkel. If you look at it and could play the audio, that would be great. I'm looking for it now, but I recall that right off the top of my head. And I'm glad Nate posted that tweet from Vicky Guerrero that David Gold just touched on. That was kind of news that I know I didn't know it, and I don't think any of you guys probably did, but it just shows the type of person that he was.
Oh, yeah, he did announce WrestleMania 32, too, Nate. He did the Hall of Fame class for WrestleMania 32.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. That's, I forgot all about that. But, up until last year, the Fink looked pretty good, for his age and everything. And he's like, he was only 69, and that's not. And look, my friend texted me and tried to make a light of the situation. He said the Fink made one last good announcement. And I was like, what's that? He died at 69. That's a great number. I'm like, that's a good one. That's a good one. Just trying to be optimistic. He's like, the Fink did it for us one more time. So, and that was the 2009 Hall of Fame induction. I think Howard announced himself. Way overdue. He should have been like one of the first people to go in, but that's besides.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are all great. I have a 2-minute little snippet I'm going to play for everyone. Just some good old Fink announcing. announcing, and let me know, guys, if you can hear this, because I'll turn up as loud as I can. Being I'm in a hotel, I don't want to blast it, but can y'all hear that? Best match ever. Best ladder match ever. These are some pretty monumental matches that he's in. And we'll play one more. Let's see. That's all I can say. I mean, nobody will ever announce like that again, ever.
Definitely. So, guys, I did want to bring up. God, I'm forgetting his name right now, but if y'all listen to Talk is Jericho, a great podcast out there, it's obviously Chris Jericho. He did a podcast not too long ago, and it was what he considered. It was a watch along on what he considered the best ever match, which is HBK and Undertaker at WrestleMania 25, which a lot of people will say that, and I will not argue with any of them. Great match, but he in the podcast he had, who's now actually on Fozzy Road Crew, Marty Elias, I think he was a referee, and he was the referee for the HBK Undertaker. But anyways, the reason I'm bringing that up is Marty tells a story, because Jericho asks a little bit about him background first, and asked like, hey, how did you get into WWF at the time? And he said, oh, well, he was an independent ref. He was working, and he constantly gave his information to WWF at the time and everything. And says, so finally he gets a call, and he answers the phone. He's like, hello. And someone's like, well, this is Howard Finkel with the WWF, and I would like to offer you a contract. So, of course, Marty thinks it's someone ribbing him. He's like, yeah, go to hell, and hangs up on him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because y'all know, like, anyone in wrestling, like, everyone in the world has tried to mimic or do that Finkel voice just because it's so iconic in wrestling. Yeah. So I guess he told him, go to hell, whatever, and he hung up on him. And then the Fink calls back, and he's like, no, it's really me, and I've got a a referee contract for you. So at the time, he's like, I'll tell you what, I'll prove it to you. Go to a fax machine. I'll send you the contract now. But I just thought that was funny because he has such an iconic voice that everyone, not necessarily good, but all of us have an impersonation of him. And I just thought it was funny because this referee told him to go to hell because he has such an iconic voice. He thought it was someone ribbing him.
I mean, honestly, we were spoiled as, in the 80s and early 90s and whatnot. And, we had people like Bobby and Mean Gene and Gorilla. And, then we transitioned to Jim Ross and Lawler. And we were spoiled. And, we lost somebody who is iconic. And, I felt the same way when Mean Gene passed away, So
right, definitely.
It's just one of those things, and it sucks to, watch WrestleManias and stuff and look at the cards and go, man, there's like 7 people left from this entire WrestleMania. It's like, right. It's just one of those things, and it happens as we get older. More things happen, and the world changes and things like that. But we lost the voice of the WWF today, and I say WWF because when I was one of the main people in 2002 that really hated when they changed the name. But I would have rather they went back to the original name WWF. That was my opinion. But may he rest in peace, and hopefully he's up there announcing for some of the greats right now, and he gets to announce again for some of the matches up there that's going on that we can have. And honestly, I think that would have been a great if Andre was in better health by WrestleMania 4 and they didn't already have such a great main event. I think Andre and Warrior would have been a great main event too. But either way, may he rest in peace, and I'm sure he's in better spirits now and announcing for some great guys up there.
Yeah, definitely. If y'all keep up with Tommy Dreamer on Twitter or whatever at all, apparently him and Tommy were pretty close, and Tommy visited him often, and he had shown some pictures of him, and obviously you can just tell from the pictures that he was sick or something, had some type of issue. So obviously we are very sad to lose someone, but definitely in a better place now,
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
But,
all right, guys.
But you know what, Fink? Congratulations, buddy. Like my friend said, you ribbed us again, buddy. You passed away at 69. That's a good number.
And I think all of us, and any wrestling fan, especially any classic fan, I mean, you could just close your eyes right now and you could see and hear "and still" or "and new champion" or whatever it is, I think, and that's something we'll all know and remember in our minds until the day we all die. So pretty awesome, pretty good work he did. Sad to see him pass.
I know I had goosebumps anytime he did that. So.
All right, guys. So unfortunately, I have to stay. We're going to move on. I've got to stay on a little bit more of the bad news still. And for everyone who's listening, guys, we do like this to be an escape from the reality, especially in the current situation. And, we want us to have fun, but this is news, so we want to talk about it a little. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it. We're definitely not going to bash anyone in this list, but we are going to go over the releases, and we're just going to get each other's, thoughts on the superstars that were released. Obviously, WWE is like anyone right now in this current situation. And guys, I'm not talking about McMahon, so don't tell me, oh, he's a billionaire, whatever. I'm just talking about the company. The company has got to be hurting because they can't have fans in. Whether it's they're still making a lot of money, not as much, I don't know, but whatever. So Vince McMahon had his conference call with the board of all and the shareholders, because remember it's publicly traded. And he did say we are going to be doing some releases. We are going to have some released, but we'll come back once we're able to go with live audiences again. And then he said, and then some will just be released on a permanent basis. He did not give any names at that time. He did say all the superstars would soon find out. So out of everyone that I'm about to read to y'all, I don't know if they plan on bringing any back or if these guys are all the permanent releases. So I don't have that information from y'all. Also, guys, I'm going to go off of WWE's list. I'm not going to do any of the rumor sites because I don't want to say someone was released who actually isn't, because obviously none of us would want someone to talk about us losing our job if we didn't really. All right, guys, so I'm going to do a quick rundown of the list, and then we can get into them a little. WWE has come to terms on the releases of Kurt Angle, Rusev, Drake Maverick, Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, Heath Slater, Eric Young, Rowan, Sarah Logan, No Way Jose, Mike Chioda, Mike Canales, Maria Canales, EC3, Aiden English, Leo Rush, and Primo and Epico, the Cologne brothers. So, guys, before what jumps out? Anything there? What do y'all think about the list that I just read?
It's just a shame how long it is. I mean, I know the
You
circumstances
can make an
we're in,
entire
but
federation out of a lot of those guys and gals.
Right.
I think Sarah Logan was wasted when she was taken off of NXT.
Mhm.
I think Leo Rush came back and made a name for himself again after the first time when they kind of released him. So I feel really bad for him. Plus, he used to wrestle in Maryland at MCW. So I know the guy, not personally, but I've seen him in the ring. He's an awesome talent. I know you didn't list her, and I do apologize, but and I don't know if they put her real name on there, but Ember Moon is definitely one of them too, because she posted a tweet on her page.
Yeah, guys, and there's a lot of producers and backstage guys, but I'm just sticking with the official WWE list. And maybe that's like I told, because we do know Vince said that some are coming back, some aren't. So maybe the guys not on this list that we've heard of, maybe they're the ones they're thinking about bringing back. But once again, I do not know. That's just speculation on my part.
Yeah, Rowan, I think they didn't have anything for him, and the whole fake thing was pretty bad. I just think that it's a shame that anyone was released. There are a lot of talented people that they just didn't have spots for, and you can't push everyone, and you can't give everybody big programs. I get it, but there are a lot of guys and gals that are going to land on their feet.
yeah.
It's just, to me, it's just a shame. I hate anyone losing their jobs, just like I hate any companies closing.
Right.
But
definitely.
the names that some of the, I mean, Leo Rush is one of them. Rowan is one of them. Sarah Logan was another. I thought she had some promise, and I kind of had a bad feeling the way they had her taken out. The other night when she stepped on her arm and it looked like it broke it.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of had a feeling that was kind of setting her up for being out, but I didn't know it was to be released. And I think they are going to bring a lot of them back because they were good talent. They'd be silly not to, but a lot of those names stick out. It's hard to say. Well, now Maria and Mike Canales, they've been trying to get away for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they're very saddened by it because they wanted to be released, months ago. They weren't doing anything with them, and that whole baby angle was terrible.
Yes.
and before this,
go ahead.
I said before this even happened, and my mind is drawing a complete blank. But what is the Revival? They had been recently left as well, didn't they? Like maybe earlier this week.
Yeah,
I read someone
was released. Yeah, they wanted out too, though. So, I think theirs was more mutual than what this was too.
I think they asked for a release before this, right?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, they did. They wanted out and they were re-signed. Remember, and then they actually were just released. And maybe it said they came to terms. So I think this was different than what we just saw. But I could be wrong. We're just speculating,
Yeah,
I think you're right.
And obviously, guys, what we know is they're released. We don't. Everything else behind that is just dirt sheet rumors. What we do know is they're released, but from what we've read, is that was what they wanted. So it wasn't like one of these guys who got an unwelcomed release. I think they asked for it.
Yeah. That's what makes it different. They was mutual parting.
Right.
I agree with everything Gold said, though. I agree with everything you said, David, about, a lot of these names are just victims of just not having a place in WWE, unfortunately. It's not because of their lack of talent. I mean, Rusev, in my opinion, I think Rusev is one of the best out there, as far as promos and in-ring ability for his size and everything. But so I don't think it's a lack of talent. I know a lot of people, and of course this is just speculating, a lot of people, have the battle between WWE and AEW. But that is one plus of having another, I guess you could say, network for wrestlers like AEW is. I wouldn't be afraid to say probably 3 or 4 of these names wind up there, but that may be for another discussion. But that wouldn't shock me at all either if some of these went to AEW.
Yeah, the thing that I tell everyone though, because we've all got this grand idea that people are going to leave and go to AEW and be these amazing stars. AEW still only has an hour of official on-screen TV time, and there's already guys there who aren't getting used, who are maybe getting some in on dark, but I mean they've got a pretty full roster as it is. So it will be interesting to see. Kind of also wonder any of these guys are going to go overseas to Japan. One that kind of jumped out at me, I thought was pretty crazy, was the Mike Chioda.
Yeah, 1989. He's been with the company since 1989.
Yeah, he showed up. I don't know, and I don't know if anyone knows for sure. Obviously, 89 was a different world. I don't think at that point they were like full-time WWF payroll guys, but he was there, and he was on TV. He started doing pay-per-views in the early 90s even. So that's crazy. That's,
Didn't Chioda have a tag match during the invasion too? Him and Hebner versus the two WCW, Patrick and the other guy. Can't remember his name now. Guy with blonde hair that looks like Ric Flair.
Oh yeah, Lil Nate.
Yeah, Lil Nate. Yeah, Chioda had a match. Chioda had a match, man, in the 2001. I think he was in that ref tag match. But I think, and look, I'm probably way off base here because I don't know, but I do feel a lot of these people might end up in AEW, and I also do feel like the cons aren't hurting as bad as maybe Vince is. You get what I'm saying? Because I think the cons have that revenue stream still coming pretty strong from the NFL, and this is off season for them anyways. So I really do feel like the WWF is, God damn it, WWE, whatever.
Yeah, well, for the cons, their NFL, their soccer, is nowhere. That's like a drop in the bucket of where their money's coming from. It just depends. None of us really know how strict AEW's running. Are they running? Because obviously everything I'm talking is just rumor stuff I've read, but that they brought out $100 million originally. Now they have signed they re-signed, got a pretty good TV deal, so they are getting some money coming in there. But the question is, like, how strict are they sticking to that $100 million? Or are they going to say, we don't mind to pull some more out if we need to? So it's hard. We don't know. But
I agree with you on that, but at the same token, I feel like if Khan feels like, and because his son's a very big wrestling fan, which is great for them because he knows his stuff, right?
Right.
I've seen interviews with him. He knows his wrestling, and that's what makes it good. I honestly feel like they might take that opportunity and maybe put these guys on smaller contracts, and they might not be making as much as WWE, but at least they'll have the health care and all that. And I think he'll pick up some of these guys to keep them from going indie or keep them from going point A to point B. But, right now it's just one of those things where a lot of the indies are shut down. Everything's shut down. So there's not a whole lot of places for them to go.
You have to think that Cody has a relationship with some of these guys. I know he's put out some, posts on Instagram and Twitter, about Zack Ryder and a couple of other guys. So, and I'm pretty sure he has a lot of pull in that company, I would still assume.
All right.
Which may benefit some of these guys.
Yeah, and you got to remember, off the estimated values of these guys, when we're talking about Khan, and obviously he's just actually, Shad Khan, the father, is a investor. Who's not included. Obviously, it's his son, but that guy is worth about $8 billion, where Vince McMahon is like just under $2 billion. So when it comes to the world of billionaires, there's a little bit of difference between those two. That's why I say you just don't know how much he's willing to put in.
I think his son is invested and loves it, and AEW is doing. And look, like I said, this is just my opinion. Everything I'm saying right now is opinion, just so everyone knows. I'm not sitting here saying I know what they're doing with their money or whatever. But I feel, in my opinion, AEW is doing way better than what they thought. And they're not, I don't think they're hurting as bad just because of those things you just mentioned. I think that Vince has to be more conscientious because, he had to shut down XFL. He had to go bankruptcy with that. And I think that WWE doesn't have, they got some of the revenue stream, don't get me wrong. And yes, Vince is worth $1 billion, and that's nothing to laugh over. And I'm not saying he's not still getting his merchandising money and all that good stuff.
Right, definitely.
The NFL is like on off season anyways. You know what I mean? They're not really, this isn't hindering them as bad. And a lot of their money, believe it or not, and you guys know this, most of their money is from TV contracts versus fans in the stands. Now, do they make money off the fans in the stands and off the stuff they buy? Certainly. But wrestling isn't getting as much of the revenue stream as NFL is getting. And to be an owner and own an NFL team and to own AEW, and you have your son kind of invested in that, and I don't even know what his son's worth. He's probably worth a pretty penny himself.
Right.
I just feel like AEW has the resources, even if they put them on smaller contracts, these guys are going to take it. You know what I mean? If I was told,
absolutely,
hey, I just lost my job, I just been cut, and then the cons come to me or Cody comes over and says, hey, I'll sign you for $100K or something. You know what I mean? It's a little less than what you were making, but we'll keep you and we'll use you when we need you. I'd be like, hell yeah, I'll take it all day long. You know what I mean?
Right.
But let's go ahead and take our first break, and then when we come back, we're gonna kind of do some little different things. Magic has some new stuff for us today, and
we're gonna come back with we'll get back to a little better news than the downer stuff.
Yeah, some more positive stuff, some more fun. We have some questions from the page that Nate can go through. I'm sure he was PM some goodies too, and we'll be right back.
If you're not in the asylum, you need to head there for 2 reasons. Because I'm buff, and because you got a chance to win this belt if you're the champ every single month. I'm buff, I'm the stuff, and you head to the asylum and check it out for yourself.
And we are back on the Asylum Wrestling Podcast. We're going to shift the show back on over to Magic as we have some more news and notes and a fun game that he's created for us.
All right, guys. So, kind of a slow week as far as the figures go. We did find out that HeroClix is going to have another release supposed to hit June of 2020. Let me just go over who it's got first real quick. You got Bret the Hitman Hart. We got Big E. We got the Man, Becky Lynch, Shinsuke, Kofi, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, Kurt Angle, Bayley, Shawn Michaels, Mankind, Xavier Woods, and the immortal Hulk Hogan. I am not a HeroClix player. I do have, I think, just the Macho Man, just because it's Macho Man. Either of y'all two into this?
Yeah, definitely. That's a must for me. I'm probably going to have every single one of them just because I played Marvel HeroClix. And, the Andre, if you look at the actual articulation on the figures, I'm going to need to buy them all, especially the Rock and Sock 6-pack. That's for sure.
Right.
I've never played the game. I actually had to discuss with David earlier before the show about how it worked. But me being the collector that I am, I probably will pick up a few select wrestlers like Hogan and Macho just for collecting's sake rather than the game's sake.
That's what I do too. Like I said, I don't play it, but you know how it goes. If it's Hogan, if it's Macho, you gotta grab them.
I'm really hoping they do some mystery characters too. That would be great. Like the mystery minis or the mystery figures. Maybe do a couple where you kind of have to open them to get certain ones. That'd be cool too, if they added that later.
All right, guys. So I got one more small piece of news real quick. So Mattel has let us all know that they are going to start doing, y'all know the collector's edition. Y'all know what I'm saying if I talk about that on the Elites?
Mm-hmm.
So Mattel has said they are going to start allowing, even if it's a Walmart exclusive or it's a Target exclusive, they are going to start letting online retailers have them also.
Oh, that's a game changer.
Now, I don't know. I don't know if they're saying it's just during this time because of the, people aren't getting out to shop as much and anything, or if that's going to be a permanent thing. I kind of think it's going to be a permanent. What's y'all's take on that?
I think it's going to help all of us be able to get certain figures, and I really hope they do Liv Morgan again. It'd be nice to find one. Damn it, I need a Liv.
It's going to take away it's going to take away the excitement of figure hunting personally, but I do a lot of pre-ordering like you, Magic, now anyway from Ringside and stuff. So,
right.
Let's be real, Nick,
more
with figure hunting.
options.
How many times have you went to a store and it was just AJ Styles though?
I 110% agree, and I was just going to say with the limited options that I've had available, in store, I guess I'll be happy about it. Because I do a lot of my ordering online anyway, so I won't complain.
Oh, but I love figure hunting. No, I agree with you there too. I do love the thrill of going into a store, but man, I'm not going to lie. I know I was still a little kid going into those stores, and like there was such an assortment of figures, and looking at my mom going, can I spend my own money? Because it was my own money at that point. And
right.
Well, you really only have like $50. Oh, okay. Well, I'll get 10 of these then. Those are if they can get back to stocking the shelves like they used to back in the day, boy, that'd be great. But yeah, I think it'll really help. It'll drive the values down on a lot of the stuff that just comes out, which is great. That's how it kind of should be. I shouldn't be looking at a Liv Morgan right now for $150.
Yeah, she's gone through the roof.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So.
All right, guys. Well, that's about all we have for the news this week. We're going to take you to the next segment. This is going to be a new segment here on the Asylum Wrestling Podcast. This is called What's Your Take? What this will be done, and this will be rotated amongst all three of us. What's going to happen is I'm going to ask David Gold and Nick Francis, what's your take on a certain wrestler? One will have a modern wrestler, and one will have a classic wrestler. This week, David Gold will get the modern one, and Nick Francis will get the classic one. And this is going to be anyone in general. It's not just going to be like, hey, what do you think of Hulk Hogan? What do you think of Roman Reigns? Right. This can be anyone off of the rosters as we got them. So first off, who wants to go first? Do we want modern or classic?
Go on ahead, Nick.
I'm fine either way.
All right. So Gold nominated you, Nick. So Nick, here's your. Okay, so we've seen a lot with the recent return of Edge. He was in the Royal Rumble. He was in WrestleMania. Been performing very good. But who I'm going to talk about is his former tag team partner. Nick, what's your take on Christian?
Well, that's a good one.
That is a good one. When I think of Christian, the first thing I think of is, when he was with Gangrel and that whole Brood setup that he had. They're just now releasing the figure, which I'm absolutely going to go out and buy. I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but I definitely will. Then he went to when he went on his singles run, because I kind of got out of it in the did he become like a WWE champion, or was he sort of like the Intercontinental type, like mid type guy?
He held the European a couple times. He had the IC belt. He never held the WWE. So
No, he was big. He
I
was carrying the torch in TNA.
He did.
Yeah.
He also,
I was
I believe
getting
he,
ready to
I believe
say
he had a run
TNA
as world
run.
champion.
Go ahead, Nate.
I was going to say, I believe he had a run as world champion in a feud with Orton. I believe in '09.
Oh, did he
I can
actually
look
get
it
the?
up.
Did he get the?
Let me think about that for a second, because I know. Hold on a second.
I think he did.
He was the world heavyweight champion. Yep, he won it 2 times actually. Now that I recall, and it was with Orton, and he beat him in a fatal 4-way. So, yep, he was, but it was very brief. But I think he was also more remembered as the ECW champion.
Yes.
He won that twice too. So, but yeah, he's held quite a few belts. But he was. I'm sorry. Go on, Nick.
No, I was sitting there looking it up myself, and Nate, he's exactly right. He was a world champion. That was something that I was curious at. I knew he held like European titles and, of course, tag team titles and many in ECW and TNA, but I wasn't for sure if he ever captured the WWE title. So I wasn't positive on that.
Okay.
I don't listen to his. Unfortunately, I don't listen to his podcast yet. Doesn't him and Edge have a podcast?
Well, actually, they stopped once Edge came back to wrestling.
Oh,
Christian, best theme ever.
I love that theme. I got to see that in person.
I do.
Sorry.
Okay, so let me ask you one thing. I know you talked about when he came out in the Brood or whatever. Does any one moment stick out to you with Christian?
You're trying to jog my memory here, so you got me typing in on the computer right now.
So obviously nothing jumps
Let's
straight to
see.
your head where it just pops up.
Nothing with Christian jumps out, right? Other than, like I said, the first thing my thought was, that Brood,
Right.
him, Edge, Gangrel. Right off the top of my head, I can't think of any singles runs. The tag teams. I mean, you can't go. I know, David. You're gonna run me in the ground on this one.
No,
So I always
no. That's not fair to you. I would never do that just because Christian wasn't big in your eyes. That's he wasn't on your radar. I get
no. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, John. I like Christian. I just at the present time nothing pops out, and I would be interested in hearing. It looks like Nate was a big Christian fan, but I'm not going to put Nate on the spot all of a sudden.
Well, it was one of the shortest runs in history, really, when he won the world title. The second time, I think, and even the first, it wasn't that long. So that's probably why no one remembers it that well.
Nobody but Nate.
Yes.
But I can tell you right now, the thing that I thought you would say would stick out to you was striking a pose. Because they had a run where they were actually kind of like not heels but not faces either, but they did this whole thing where they took pictures and for the audience.
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm looking at the pictures now, actually, as you say that.
And of course, his finisher is the greatest thing ever. I mean, the unprettier. I mean, come on, how do you not love that finisher?
And David Gold, that was the 5-second pose.
Okay, there you go. For the fans, the 5-second pose, and I was actually Edge and Christian in a role-playing federation back in 1999, 2000 when Commissioner Foley was up their butt all the time. And they used to have all those skits. So.
Yeah, I actually got to meet and hang out a little bit with Christian. Pretty cool dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just a work thing. So, all right. So, guys, and
he does. No, I was saying is he does seem like he would be kind of one of those down to earth guys that you like to hang out with.
Yeah,
he's one of the best workers he's one of the best workers there's been for them, and But anyways, that wasn't my guy. So
yeah, so I did forget to. I'll share one story. So talking Christian had told us, this was soon after he had split up with Edge and he was on the singles, and he said he was friends with Steve Austin, so he grabbed him in the back, especially because at this time Steve was like top of the top. And he said, "Hey, Steve, I'm doing this whole singles thing now. Would you mind watching my match and let me know what you think? Because I've always been a tag team guy. I'd like some feedback on a singles match." So he said, Stone Cold said, "Sure, no problem." So I can't remember what event or whatever it is. He said he went out there. He said he thought he did pretty damn awesome. He said he thought he was a really good match, and he comes to the back and he said he's kind of proud of himself. Like, oh boy, what's old Steve going to tell me? He's going to tell me how great I am.
What?
And he goes back and he goes, "Steve, you watch my match?" And Steve goes, "Yeah, you need to fucking learn how to sell." And that's all he said. And that was the whole feedback.
What?
All right, guys. So another thing that we were going to say is that on What's Your Take, we're going to let whoever's take it is, they're going to be able to talk. We're not going to argue. It's okay if we interject. Nothing wrong with that, Goldie, but we're not going to.
I wasn't arguing, though.
Yeah. I'm not going to say, "Oh, you're completely wrong, Nick," or whatever, or Gold.
Oh, no, I would never do that. Never.
Right.
That's
so,
ridiculous.
all right. David Gold, are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, Gold. And Gold has the current wrestler for this week. David Gold, what's your take on Samoa Joe?
Oh, Lord have mercy. How is he current? No.
Well,
He's been around just as long as Christian, bro. Anyways.
Active. Still active.
Look. All right. One, he's got the best theme song in WWE right now. I'm sorry. I love his fucking theme song.
I'll agree with that. I like it too. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I got it. I mean, I've been watching him, since he's been in Ultimate Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Zero, which a lot of people don't know about. When he was in Japan, that was when he worked in Japan. And then when he was in Ring of Honor for 6 years. And then that's all wrapped around when he was in TNA. And Samoa Joe is probably one of the best in the ring in terms of, just work rate, submission holds, his feuds with Kurt Angle and Jay Lethal and Chris Sabin and Destination X matches and all that stuff. I mean, TNA was the shit back then. It was freaking it was the alternative. Had it been ran appropriately, I think it would have been more of a competition. But Samoa Joe, in my opinion, and that doesn't even include his feuds with AJ Styles in TNA, is probably one of the best in-ring workers there is. I think he came in strong in NXT. I think his matches with Brock Lesnar, if we're going to go more recent, was really good. I think him and Brock had a great match against one another. I'm sorry that he got suspended kind of right around the time, we were going through the pandemic and stuff, so he hasn't been around. But I will tell you that he reminds me. He's got the tone and stuff of a Kevin Owens, and I just feel like he's one of the best submission wrestlers there is, and he's been around for a long time. And he's, those of us who do know him know that he's very close with CM Punk and AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels and all those guys. And I just, Samoa Joe's held quite a few belts in his career. He's, obviously he's been the X Division champion multiple times. He was only the world heavyweight champion once, believe it or not. He's the king of the mountain. He's been a tag champ. But I don't feel like WWE's using him as appropriately as they should. But we can go all night on that. So I'm just going to end on that note.
Not bad. And I agree with a lot of your takes there, Gold. If you've listened to this before, you've heard me talk about, and it's hard to explain until you actually get into wrestling, about telling a story, about not just doing a move. I think Joe is one of the currently one of the best in the ring at that. I also think he kills it on promos. And not just promos, but backstage segments and all that too. So I love Samoa Joe. I think he's an awesome worker. All around.
He definitely took it up a notch. I did not talk about his promos. The dude can talk, and honestly, the program he had right before the wellness policy suspension, I thought was going to be great. I was hoping for some type of Samoa Joe. I mean, believe with the Reigns and the Usos and stuff. I was looking so forward to that. So hopefully they bring him back, which I'm sure they will, and they kind of roll with that still, and we can kind of get back to normal. But Samoa Joe, in my book, is a Hall of Famer. Simple as that.
Definitely. And one thing I really like about Joe too, and nowadays, obviously, Samoa Joe is his character. We've seen, especially with the internet and social media, we've seen Joe not in character, and he seems like a cool, fun-loving, easygoing guy. But the best thing in the world in today's environment is when I know that about him, but when I see him come out on TV, I'm still like, that's a badass motherfucker, because he still pulls that off, and I think that's even harder now that we know all these performers real life, or maybe at least what they put on social media and everything.
His theme song starts it off, and honestly, had they gave Taz that kind of theme song, they kind of did that with Taz a little bit, same kind of thing. They ruined him too, even worse. But I mean, when you bring Samoa Joe out to that dun, 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 that really awesome theme song, it's like really like, oh shit, Samoa Joe's coming, he's gonna beat my ass, And this dude's like 5'7". It's like this but I've met him in person, and he might look like, okay, he's kind of chunky, whatever. No, that guy. I mean, I'd be nervous if he put me in a chokehold. I'm just saying. And his suplexes are crisp. Like, he could toss you around that ring for sure. So I'm talking like I've been in the ring. It's great.
It's a good takes, guys. I appreciate both y'all's takes. I thought y'all both did excellent. Think you're both on. No argument from me on anything y'all said. So, guys, I like it. And remember, guys, whenever we do What's Your Take, and we will rotate positions next week, the other two individuals do not know which superstars we're about to give them. I didn't let Gold or Nick have any clue as to who they were having. So it is completely off the top of our head as soon as we hear the name.
Hey, I'm going to toss you one, Magic.
What you got, brother? What you got?
I'm going to toss you one just to see your opinion.
All right.
He used to be in, of course, he used to be in the UFC.
Okay.
And he was around during the Attitude Era.
Okay.
I'm going to give you Ken Shamrock. What is your opinion on Ken Shamrock?
Shamrock had everything in the world in the ring, a little short outside of it, if you get what I'm saying there. He's obviously a world-class athlete. You can't take that from him. He was always in great shape. He had that legitimate badass because he was, especially at the time. I actually liked a lot of stuff he did. Something that you bringing that up actually makes me want to go back and watch is him and Owen in the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember much of it now because it's been so long, but I do remember enjoying it, or at least being into it, at that time. So that's something I want. I always thought he would be more than what he was, though. That's my I guess negative on it. I always thought, and obviously now I know a little bit more because I've listened to some of these other podcasts with Bruce Pritchard and all that, where I find out a little bit about behind the scenes.
Right.
But every time I thought he was about to be pushed to the moon or was going to take it to that next level, kind of seemed like he disappeared or whatever. But I didn't have much issue with him in the ring. I actually thought he was a pretty decent worker. And he was, like I said, he had that legitimate badass. We know he can fight. He was world class for his time. one of the best in the world. But I would say that's about it. You really got me wanting to go back and watch that match now, though. It's been a long time.
Yeah. I also think you should go back and watch his stuff with The Rock.
I'll have to, because I can't even remember any of that right now.
Yeah, The Rock stuff was really good when The Rock was with the Nation. I think his stuff with Severn was pretty good too. And Blackman, his stuff with Blackman was good. But I honestly think they kind of buried him a little bit when they put him in the corporation. And then the corporate ministry, and then they had him go over, what was the name of the group with the Big Show? The Union, right? Was that what it was called? The Union? When they put him with the Big Show and Mankind. I think it was just jumping around from faction to faction, and they really took away from because when they brought him in as a special guest referee when Brett and Stone Cold faced one another, Ken Shamrock was pretty badass, and he pulls Brett off. I thought he was going to feud with Brett. I was like, this is going to be awesome. That would have been really good. But yeah, just figured I'd throw a random wrestler at you.
Yeah, that was, and like I really, going back, I really remember thinking like, and at that time it was like that in between on fully exposed yet still closed business type thing. But I do remember like, these dudes better watch out. Ken Shamrock's the 100% real deal,
Oh yeah, and when he snapped and was like, ah!
Yes, I did like I loved it. Not to get off of him, I thought maybe a little bit of the opposite would be, what's his name, Blackman.
Oh, but don't tell me his stuff with Shane wasn't good though. And
that is true.
And his stuff with Al Snow, remember that? Head cheese.
Definitely.
That stuff was good. I mean, Blackman had his moments.
Man, I'm gonna have to start taking notes of all the stuff I want to go watch again now.
Yeah, watch the match with Shane when he knocks him off the side of the Titantron. Oh man, that was one of the best falls I've ever seen. So I mean, Blackman had high potential too, and then they turned him heel.
Yeah.
And then that's when I was done with him, and he snapped. He stopped using his sticks, and he was just lame. Like before, he was like at least somewhat cool. Then they made him super lame. It was like this is bad. So.
Right.
Some of
all
the
right, guys.
figures too. Ken Shamrocks and Blackmans. There's not really much you can do with their figures.
That's true. All right, guys. So that was your take. We will be bringing this back. Let us know. Maybe let's see. Next week, David Gold will be giving me and Nick Francis characters. If there's anyone y'all think maybe y'all want to hear our takes on, or someone we should discuss, it will be up to Gold. But PM him. Maybe y'all can influence him one way or another. But I like it. I like the spontaneousness of it. I like it off the hill. You got to think fast. You got to know what you know, because we're going to ask about it.
I will recommend getting our producer involved in this too. I know he's right knowledgeable when it comes to wrestling. If Nate's willing to do that.
Are you talking about Nasty Nate?
He likes to.
Believe it or not.
He likes to profess that he's knowledgeable.
I've got as Christian was world champion. You corrected us, so
I've got a couple guys I'd like to ask Nate about.
Oh, yeah, so I think we'll get the producer involved too.
60s,
maybe just a couple current wrestlers. Maybe we'll start with Constable Corbin. Maybe Kenny Omega.
Ooh,
Nate,
that'll bring.
What was your opinion on the Boneyard match, and how much did you enjoy that?
The Boneyard movie was great. I don't know how much of a match it was.
I mean, how much did you really like when John Cena was in an NWO shirt,
You know, that Firefly Funhouse thing was fun as shit. It was not a match, though. That's what I said on We Can't Wrestle Live this week, too. I'm a huge fan of Gargano and Ciampa. I love their feud. I love their matches. But I told Kyle I cannot say that their match on Wednesday was a good match, because it wasn't a match. It was a movie. It was a great movie. But we all know that match, quotation marks, had someone say cut, someone say let's move here, someone say let's go there. So it's not a match because a match takes place in front of fans, live, in person. Do you guys get what I'm saying? It's not.
We'll get you 100%.
Totally.
You can't call it a
I
match.
gotcha.
It was a great
But look,
movie. It was a
think
great
about
movie.
it like this: it's the same crowd we would be performing in front of.
Absolutely.
That would be our crowd. I mean, we might get a random like Michael Shetley in the crowd hitting the thumbs up button over and over again or something.
Well, at least I'd be able to redo my shitty spots over and over.
Right.
And over again.
Like, Nick, run over there real quick. Boop. All right, and the camera starts again. All right, I'm coming. Boop. All right, let's refilm that.
And now Magic is just pelting me with base cards. It's crazy.
Take the Magic's like, go. Take 67 on the clothesline. Damn it, how many times do I have to show you this? And I'm like busted open and like bloodied and like dead. And he's like, it's your fault I've had to clothesline you 67 times, Gold. It's your fault. If you would just fall appropriately. And then like the 68th clothesline, like I just crumble and he goes, that's the best one.
That's
we'll
the best take. Best take.
That's it. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna wrap it up. Nate, you have some questions for us. We're gonna end the show with some questions from our wonderful audience.
I do. I'm like the Johnny Ace here. It's the power. It's the power of the people. It's the power of the people here. The members of the Asylum Wrestling, the Asylum page on Facebook, listeners of the Asylum Wrestling Podcast, have questions. One of them is the newest admin of the Asylum, and also a guy that keeps invading my podcast too. Archie Mitchell has butted in.
Oh, I've
here.
heard of this guy. I've heard of him.
I
Yeah.
heard a little bit about him.
Yeah.
He wants to know: does Magic only eat pancakes?
No, I actually also eat waffles. Next question.
The only thing
Superb answer for the troll. Appropriate answer.
I heard that Magic likes pie too.
Depends what flavor. Next question.
Jamie Patterson wants to know, why the hell do I lose all these events?
Because Gold always wins.
No, Nick
Next question.
That is two superb answers in a row, gentlemen.
Here's the question that should have been asked. Why can I not ever win a Melloway? Because Nick's in the event.
Trevor Duncanson would like to know, a good question here from Trevor, where are the newly released talent going to end up?
Ooh.
Leo Rush will go to AEW. I think Rowan will go to AEW. I think Ember Moon will go into AEW because she's better than most of their women there now.
Yeah, I think AEW
I think a lot
would do great by picking up a lot of the women, you know?
Yep, Sarah Logan would be a good pickup. Ember Moon would be a good pickup. Yep.
You never know with the
I
Good
agree
Brothers,
with that.
but they might be going back to Japan.
And that would
Yeah,
be
they'd be
that
better
would be,
off.
yeah, they fit in very well over there.
Yeah, they're like, guys, no joke. If I don't know how many of our listeners follow Japan wrestling, but the Good Brothers are probably like the equivalent of, you know, on a tag team level, they would be like the now they weren't necessarily faces, but they're like a New Day level in Japan wrestling. They were big. I mean, like, in fact, when AJ Styles first came over, it was a package deal. You only got AJ if you got the Good Brothers with him.
Yep.
Two highly wasted talents.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another admin of the group, Chris Maddock, would like to know, who will debut on the podcast first, Jeff, Archie, or the Thunder?
Whichever one wants to.
I say we bring them all on at the same time.
They've all been asked, and not one is accepted yet. So.
I'm going to be honest, as a producer, and I love you, Archie, and I love you, Jeff, but I would love to have Thunder on the show because I would love a conversation about the difference between how wrestling is perceived here and how it's perceived down under. I think that would be great to get his perspective.
As long as I don't have a 30-minute conversation about Vegemite, I think we'll be all right.
All right, Tyler Dove. Yeah, Tyler, I'm going to let you Tyler, I'm going to let you ask a question. Even though I shouldn't, Tyler, I'm going to let you ask a question, and it's for Nick Francis. How many Michelobes does it take for Nick Francis to give away a mail-away Hogan?
More than I probably want to consume in one night.
I'm just gonna say it for you, Nick. More than you can fucking afford, Tyler.
Exactly.
You would probably have to buy him a Michelob factory for him to give you his mail away.
All right, so let's see here. And the last question here that I'm going to read for the guys is from, the real boss in the asylum. It's Kirsten Francis. We all know she's the real boss. And what she wants to know
that's
is...
upper management.
That's very upper management. That's the management you don't see ever. Will Archie join the podcast?
Sure. Whenever he wants to.
Absolutely. I will say she is a big Archie Mitchell fan. And Archie, I know you're going to listen to this. Do not let that go to your head. But there was more people than just us admin excited when you jumped on board of the asylum.
The worst part is that his first video, he calls us the era. This kid.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat, he forgets where he is. And it's okay, Archie. You're the only one that can fill events on your personal page. We love you.
And that was it, guys. That's all the questions I have that I think are worthy anyway.
Can I know we're getting short on time, but I think something on our page is it's blowing up. It looks like on a daily, at least weekly basis, and I can get Magic to maybe touch base on it if you don't mind, Magic. But these whole card breaks, I got a question for you. Like, how did you get into it like you are right now? As far as,
oh Lord,
it seems you're pretty dedicated to it. No, the reason I asked this because I've had a lot of PMs, and I know Magic probably has, and comments about. How card breaks work. And, it looks like, they're no sooner than Magic posts a card break. Every time I look, they're filling in minutes. I can't even jump on a half of them. So they're obviously becoming very, very popular. So I just figured you could shed some light, on a card break situation.
Yeah,
that you do on the Facebook page.
So card breaks, if you don't know what they are, there are certain boxes, okay? You're going to find boxes at Target. You're going to find boxes at Walmart, at your local grocery stores. Those have a common name of what we would call a blaster box. A blaster box is not guaranteed to have an autograph. Sometimes they are guaranteed to have a relic or auto, which is the majority of the time a relic card. But if you go to card shops, there's something called a hobby box. A hobby box will usually at least guarantee one autograph card. So I started getting into these WWE cards because, just like everyone, honestly, it was the Legends lines. Some of those autos, I was like, oh, awesome, I got to get these. And then I noticed we had some members who were into it too. And I also noticed we had some guys they were not necessarily into figures, but they were into that, and they're into the asylum. So I was like, well, let's bring up some stuff that some of these guys who aren't into figures as hardcore as the rest of us that we can have. But here's the deal, guys. Some of these hobby boxes are $100, $150 a piece. So, it's a lot easier for me to drop $10, $15 knowing that I'm going to get an autograph than to drop 150, and hoping that it's a good box. Because there are boxes that are duds. I won't lie to y'all. Sometimes they are. And if you drop $150 after shipping and everything, and your best autograph was a Nick Miller, that hurts.
which I've seen come up on. I've seen that come up right often in these breaks that I have gotten in. So evidently,
Yeah. So that hurts. So a box break is exactly that. It breaks it up amongst however many people. So in case it is a dud, that burden, that hit isn't quite as bad. Like, sure, I got only a Nick Miller, but it was only $15 I put in. It wasn't 150. So I got into that. And guys, I know that a lot of people aren't going to believe me, but I do keep these basically at cost. And I have a blast doing them. That's the main reason. I know a lot of guys love the cards. They're trying to complete sets. They're trying to complete autographs. So I try to keep it. You'll see card breaks on, across the world. I'm not even going to say pages or whatever, but you'll see others where they make a couple bucks off of it. And I really do try to keep it at cost or as close as I can because it's just fun. And that's really all I'm doing with it. I'm not making any money off of it. But some of these cards are awesome. We've seen some high value ones. We've pulled, believe it or not, we've pulled $300 to $500 cards in these breaks. At the same time, we've also pulled $3 cards. So the $300 to $500 cards are not. They're not common.
That's no cards of me. That's the $500 card. What are you talking about?
We pulled a gold and we paid a guy $20 to take it.
Oh, okay, got it. I got an anonymous
the
question
first
for Magic before we end the show too. After you're done speaking of cards, I got an anonymous question for you.
Oh boy, here we go again.
Hey.
So, anyways, that's it, guys. It's a way for us all to get in and to get some of those high cost boxes, but split it up amongst people so it's not as expensive. It's also really cool for both sides because there's a lot of guys who are only into the new people, and then there's some of us who are into both, and then some that are just into the classics and legends. So with some of these lines, they do bring back a lot of the Hall of Famers and all that. So those are usually my favorite. And there's some high there. We run a box before that's about a $350 box. No one wants to drop $350 on one box, but if you split it up among 10 people, whatever, it's a lot easier to hold. So that's the reasoning, the thinking behind it.
I know we're right in the middle of our Asylum shirt contest, and about at least 40% of the submitted shirts was for a base card shirt. So I think we're going to have to make that happen for the members anyway, John.
Maybe so.
Regardless of the outcome of the contest, I think we're getting a base card shirt.
And I can't remember. It was one of the first ones I did. Maybe it was Nick. Maybe it was Gold. I can't remember. But someone was like, I like how he changes his tone for base cards. Maybe it was Archie. I can't remember, but
yeah, because it's like
I remember that.
Base card, base card, and it changed. It went from to Yeah. So the anonymous question for you, Magic, is
okay.
It's a funny one. It's a funny one. I think Nate's gonna love this one. This anonymous user wants to know, how do you get your pecs to go all the way around your back like that?
How do I get my pecs
to go all the way around your back like that? Do you not get the reference?
Mizagic?
Do you not get the reference, Magic?
I'm lost. You're gonna have to key me in on this one, guys. You're gonna have to give me the gimmick.
Remember the Nation of Domination when DX was pretending to be the Nation and it was Mizark Henry? And he's like, Mizark, how do you get your pecs to go all the way around your pecs?
I got you. I love it. Good question, anonymous guy. I love it now that you reminded me. That's awesome. Well, guys, what it is, it's lots of hard work in the gym, eating lots of protein, and just mainly, making sure the Nation dominates.
Well, listeners, we had a lot of fun tonight. It is almost 1:30 in the morning. We are up late for you in this whole things that are going on. Please, everyone, be safe. Everyone, watch a lot of network, watch a lot of Hulu, watch a lot of Netflix, Disney Plus, Pornhub, whatever you want to watch.
Throws in the porno.
Stay in. I mean, they're giving away free premiums. I've already ran through it. They won't let me sign up again. Please be safe and get your blue chews. Find somebody, and just be safe. And so I hate social distancing just as much as the next person, but let's be safe and let's escape reality as much as we can and enjoy ourselves on the page and enjoy the community. Don't forget we have a huge free belt event that I'm going to buy anybody a belt of their choice made to order on May 15th if we can hit 3,000 members. Any final words for our listeners, Nick?
Yeah, guys. I think you just said it best, David. Get your blue chew. I just appreciate you sticking around with us. We try to make this show as exciting as possible. I know John's brought the new segment on, which is very exciting. Again, sign up to the page, join the group, the Asylum on Facebook if you aren't there. Subscribe to YouTube. We got a store with a pile of shirts, a pile of hats. We even got, believe it or not, we got masks now. I never thought I'd see the day that would be the end thing, but it is now, unfortunately. So we got those we're selling. And I just enjoyed the show with you guys, as always. I look forward to the next show. And Magic, I'll turn it over to you for the last words.
Guys, I joke around a lot, whatever, but I do want to be serious, and I'm not going to mention any names because
all right, we
keep it private. But guys, when we hear these regulations or whatever, I know a lot of us are like, "Damn the man." Please, guys, do listen to him though. We have just all of us here listening have close friends who've been affected by this virus that's going around right now. So, like I said, I hate to get serious and downer on you, but just for the sake of all of us, all of our family, friends, guys, do listen to those recommendations, guys, because, Nate tells us about all the craziness of we're supposed to be staying at home, and he's got people wants to know if they have a purple scrunchie or whatever type other things there. So, guys, please keep that in mind. Let's flatten the curve. Let's keep it down. And with that being said, guys, we love you all. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of us. I love everyone. We love everyone. I hope you'll have a great week. And remember, that's a base card.
And one last thing, I've heard through the grapevine that if Nate is available this weekend, we might be able to watch some WrestleMania 9 and debate why it was one of the worst WrestleManias ever.
If not this week,
that ought to be fun.
If not,
new heavyweight champion of the world,
Hulk Hogan.
Yokozuna, wait, no, Hogan. Oh no, I am Little Magic. Yay, yay.
He saved Brett. That's what I was saying. He saved Brett. He didn't do a damn thing for Brett.
And now, like 20 years later, damn, he really fucked Brett, didn't he? No,
he screwed Brett. That is definitely going to happen. Maybe not this weekend, but definitely in the future, in the next couple of weeks. We wanted to try to make it happen like 4 weeks ago, but since everything started happening, my work schedule and everything has been insane. So, but yes, that is coming. Me, Gold, and whoever else from the We Can't Wrestle podcast or the Asylum Wrestling Podcast that wants to join us are going to watch WrestleMania 9 together, and I think it's going to be fun as hell. I love debate. I love debate.
Me too. I can't wait. And once again, listeners, thank you so much for spending your time with us and listening to us. And please put your Magic will be posting it probably maybe not tonight, but sometime tomorrow. Please put your opinions on what I have to do because I lost. So put your opinions on there. I'll probably comment to each one and say no, but we'll see what I have to do for losing, and then we'll come to a consensus. And then if it's something that has to be done live or recorded, we'll get it done. And And by the way, I'm not wearing anything Eagles or Giants or Redskins, so don't even try it. That ain't happening.
Don't worry, I got your back on that one, Gold.
That ain't happening. Sorry, not sorry. If you want me to go ahead and use an Eagles jersey for some added heat around the house, I'll gladly do that. Anyways, listeners, thank you so much for spending your time with us, and you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Have you ever been excited to photograph your figures only to be disappointed? Fuck, these pictures suck.
Don't worry, I got you, bro.
Call David Gold's Figure Photography.
Sexy.
Get the pictures you need of your figures. Stovetop.
He's on fire!
Off-centered on carpet.
Nice stuff, bro.
You name it, David does it.
Sexy.
PM David Gold to schedule a consultation today.